Do you feel bored and sad in your Jewish life? Do you feel a disconnect from God? Do you want to spice up your Judaism from the boring old traditional way? Well, I have just the thing for you. It is called Hasidism, and it is almost as good as a freshly baked kugel. Let me tell you about it. Hasidism took off in countries in Eastern Europe like Russia and Poland after the death of its main founder in 1760. His name was Israel ben Eliezer, and he lived in Poland, which became a part of the Russian Empire during his lifetime. Israel ben Eliezer was known as the Baal Shem Tov, or Master of the Good Name, also known as the Besht. He was a scholar, healer, and many believed he was a miracle worker. Also, people believed that he was an exorcist, or a person with a connection to the dead. He said we needed more mysticism in our lives, and everything one did was a spiritual act. This movement was a direct response to traditional Judaism, as many average observant Jews were feeling some sort of void in their Jewish life. One reason why Hasidism was so unique was the emphasis the Besht put on establishing a personal connection to God, rather than the primacy and repetitiveness of traditional Torah study. After his death in 1760, his followers then began to call themselves Hasidim. The movement took off extremely fast afterward, with almost 2/3 of the Jews as Hasidim in Eastern Europe after only 2 generations of his death. The reason it took off so fast was the major demographic boom of Jews in Eastern Europe. Also, people actively went out to promote Hasidism and recruit more followers. Many people were attracted to the Hasidic ideas, and thus they spread rapidly through Poland, Russia, Ukraine, and other countries of modern Eastern Europe that were then considered a part of the Russian Empire. One other innovative idea that was spread by the Besht was the importance of singing and dancing. Niguns, or melodies, were introduced into prayer, and so was shackling, or moving your entire body to be spiritually active and full of energy in your prayer. Other than the Besht, there were many other leaders of the Hasidic movement. Rabbi Yaakov Yosef of Polony was a Besht follower and wrote a book called Toldot Yaakov Yosef to spread Hasidism. It was basically a how-to guide with this new form of Judaism. He wanted to explain Hasidism in a better way and encourage personal connection to God. He introduced the idea of the tzaddik, or a charismatic leader who was believed to have a closer relation to God. This idea, however, resulted in discordance between Hasidic groups and eventually led to the formation of different Hasidic dynasties. Also, a man by the name of Shneur Zalman of Liadi contributed to the growth of Hasidism by creating what is known as Chabad, or an acronym of Chokhmah, Binah, and Da'at, or wisdom, reason, and knowledge. He wrote the Tanya, which was another guide on how to be Hasidic. In this book, he emphasized mysticism a lot more than others. If you guys want to be Hasidic, you should definitely read the Torah, the Mishnah, and the Talmud. It is important to interpret these texts in a very personal way, as that is what we emphasize as Hasidim. Some other interesting texts that you should definitely read are, as I mentioned before, the Toldot Yaakov Yosef and the Tanya. Both were written to spread Hasidism and as guides on how to be Hasidic. You should really check out the Hasidic movement, because it does not matter if you are poor, wealthy, old, young, tall, or short. You will be accepted and welcomed anyway, with a big smile and a great big bulbous, and maybe even some farfel and kugel. Everyone is equal in the Hasidic movement, and everyone, including you, deserves happiness and joy in your religion, with a personal connection to God. I have one last thing to show you. Here is me when I first found out about the Hasidic movement. Look at all my shackling. This could be you if you join the Hasidic movement. Legend says that if you become Hasidic, you become an amazing gymnast.